Hey you guys, what's going on? So here we go. I just had a friend of mine contact me about his Mossberg 500. All right, he was taking it apart and he couldn't get it put back together, and it took a while trying to talk, over Facebook and messaging and sending short little videos and stuff. And I was like, you know what? It would be easiest just to make a video on how to assemble and disassemble a Mossberg 500. I figured I'd never done that. I've done Glocks. I think I've done AR-15s. I don't think I've ever done that with a shotgun. All right, so just simple, basic maintenance. If you have a shotgun, a lot of them work the same way, same principles. All right, you have some pieces that are different in Remingtons and Mossbergs. You have a lot of similarities, so this will work for Mossberg 500s. Okay, and I don't have a Remington 870 I can show you right now. So anyway, maybe I'll do one of those later if it helps, if it's any different. But anyway, this is a Mossberg 500. Okay, I've had this gun for a while. Don't really use it that often. I have shot doves with it. I don't think I've shot any rabbits with it, but it's just Mossberg 500. Nothing real frilly about it. So we're going to go ahead and take this guy apart. We're going to put it back together. I'm going to show you how I do it. There's different ways to do it. Take it with a grain of salt. Learn what you can. If you have better ways to do it, drop it down in the comments. Let us know, because I'm more of an AR guy. I'm not a big shotgun guy. So this is just the basics of what I know. All right. So again, if you know better than me on this, go ahead, speak up. Or forever hold your peace. All right. Alrighty, guys, here we go. So to take apart the Mossberg 500 series, okay, I believe this is a Mossberg 500 AB. I don't know what the different models are, but this is a 500 AB. All right. Obviously, you want to make sure it's unloaded. Most accidents that happen with unloaded guns, so make sure there is nothing in here. When you're doing firearms maintenance, it's when a lot of people get hurt. Okay, so it's unloaded. We're ready to go. With these shotguns, you have a screw up front. It's a captured kind of a ratchet style screw. All right, you're going to unscrew that. It's not very long. Unscrew it, and then your barrel should pull forward and out, okay? Set that guy aside. At this point, this is where I like to use, the only tool that I use to disassemble the whole thing is a punch, okay? And you just use that just to push out the pin that holds in your trigger group. Trigger group should just pull up and forward, just like that, okay? Now, you can kind of shake the gun, and some little bars will fall out. And these little bars, I forget their nomenclature, exactly what they're called, but basically what they do is they hold the shells in the magazine. All right, they keep them from just free falling out. So for lack of a better term, we'll just call them the shell retention arms. All right, I'm sure they're called something else, but I don't remember. Now is one of the more complicated parts. It's not really complicated, but a lot of people get it wrong, especially when it's their first time doing it and they get frustrated. It's really not that hard. Your receiver right here has a long cutout, and then it has a box looking kind of cutout right here, okay? Your bolt and your carrier, okay, the carrier specifically needs to be lined up in that square area right here, okay? And obviously you can move it around with the pump, all right? Once it's in this area, you should just be able to lift up, and the carrier will come right out, okay? At this point, you can just push forward, and your bolt should come out right out the front of the gun, okay? So that's done. The other part, if you reach down in there, you kind of see this guy right here. This is like your shell carrier. I can't remember the exact nomenclature again. I'm sorry. Other people are more knowledgeable on this than me. But the shell carrier, you can pull that guy out, and it's kind of like a pair of tweezers. You just pinch it, work it out, and it comes out just like that. So it looks like a big old pair of weird tweezers. Set that guy aside. Now, if you're going to completely take this guy apart, you're going to need to unscrew your magazine. This should just be hand tight. You should not need tools to take this off, okay? But you take this guy out, and your pump should just pull straight off, all right? On the inside of here, you have your magazine follower. Make sure you don't lose that, and you have to go get another one. If you do have to get another one, get one that's not black. Get one that's like orange or yellow or something high visibility that you can recognize. Make sure that the gun's clear. So that is as field stripped as I'm going to get it, or stripped down. You can obviously take off the buttstock and stuff, but you don't really need to do that to clean it. And then your safety just has a screw right there, and I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to leave it there. To put it back together, exact same thing but opposite. Take your magazine follower, and it goes right down there in that hole for the magazine. You take your pump, make sure those arms are oriented in there. Before we get onto this, I'm going to take a side trail and mention something real quick. When it comes time to reassemble your bolt and your carrier, a lot of people get this confused and get it kind of mixed up a little bit. Your bolt's going to be sitting in between these arms of your pump, right? Your carrier, right, it has this big rectangular square that conveniently matches this big rectangular square in your bolt. It's going to ride right inside, just like that, okay? A little bit backwards of center on the bolt. It's not going to be sitting right on top of the bolt, and it's not going to be sitting forward of the bolt. It's going to be sitting just like that, if that makes any sense. These arms on your pump, they actually engage on your carrier, all right? That is what gives, that's what helps cycle the firearm, okay? Because it grabs that carrier, and that carrier is attached to your bolt, which helps cycle the whole thing. So these little arms have these little hooks. Those hooks are designed to fit right inside that carrier, nice and flush, okay? So keep that in mind here in just a second. All right, so we got our magazine follower in there. We got our pump in there. We're gonna go ahead and insert our magazine. Make sure it is hand tight. Make sure you don't cross thread it or anything. There we go. Make sure it's not cross threaded, you don't want to do that. All right, and make sure it's just hand tight. You don't need to go crazy, it's not gonna come loose, you're not gonna have issues like that, okay? Just hand tight, all right? Now, basically working backwards, we take our shell carrier, put that down inside, kind of pinch it, work it, and it'll pop right into place. You see right here on both sides of the firearm, you have, that's where those little nipples were, and that's what holds on your shell carrier, okay? So now you take your bolt, make sure it's facing forward, all right? Don't put it in backwards like this, put it forwards. You're gonna kind of let that ride right in top, right where it's supposed to go, and your shell carrier will kind of cradle it on both sides. See down in there? Your shell carrier is going to kind of pinch it and keep it left and right. It can move forward and backward, and that's okay. But left and right, your shell carrier is going to hold it in place. Okay. Now you're going to move back your pump, and those little claws we were talking about in that square cutout. You want those to kind of be in the forward portion of that little square cutout. Okay. You're going to move your bolt back into that area, into that general area. Now is when you take your carrier, you're going to place it down into that square cutout. You're going to kind of move it around. This went in very, very simply. Your carrier is going to engage on those little tabs on your pump, and that square rectangular cutout we talked about engages on the bolt. All right. Once it's in there, okay, you just need to keep it from popping out, because it's going to want to pop out for just a minute. But you push down, all right, on that carrier just lightly, and you push forward on your, I guess it'd be called operating rods. I don't know, but you push forward on your pump, all right, and the whole thing rides in the channel. Once it's in there, it's not going to come out. Okay, I mean, if you turn the gun upside down and pump it, then yes, it will come out. But for right now, you're fine. You don't need to worry about it. Next are these two little Chinese chopstick things that kind of give people a lot of headache. All right. And there's really no secret to this as far as I know. You just keep the little hook ends, you keep them forward, all right? One goes on one side of the gun, and the other one, which conveniently on the outside you can see there's a hole right here, and that corresponds with this little nipple right here. Make sure your hook is facing forward. Place that guy, I'll turn it up this way, maybe you can see, maybe you can't. Put that guy right inside, and now you can see that nipple is right in that hole where it needs to be, okay? Now, these are not secured in there yet. They're gonna try to fall out if you start shaking the gun or tilting it, okay? So you're gonna need to make sure that they are pushed to the sides and they're nice and flush. They're not hanging out part ways or whatever, not cockeyed or anything, that they're flush with the walls. Now, you take your trigger assembly and you're gonna kind of rock it in like an AK, all right? The front goes in first, and then you just lightly press down on the rear, and it should just go straight down. If it doesn't go down, if it goes part way kind of like this and you're having to push real hard, more than likely one of your arms is kind of cockeyed and it's protruding and keeping things from going where they're supposed to go. So just pull the trigger guard back up, make sure that those arms are secured on the side, they're pushed in, they're a little springy, so you got to push it in, hold it, and then push down, okay? Once your trigger group is down, you take your pin, put it back in the hole, and it should just go you should not have to tap it in with a hammer or whatever. It should just go straight down in there. If it's a new firearm, it might be tighter. This is an older beat up gun, so tolerances are a little bit looser, but it should work just like that. Last but not least, you kind of pull the action back part ways, not all the ways, just part ways, just easier that way. Take your barrel, it should slide right on, okay? And then you're gonna go ahead and tighten it down. You can hear it ratchet, and then it just stops. It's just hand tight, that's all you need to do. Run the action, make sure that everything works fine. It should lock, okay? If you hit your bolt release, you should be able to cycle the action. Your safety should work. Not firing, safety off, should fire, trigger should reset, put it on safety, should be good. Alrighty guys, so there you go. I hope that was kind of helpful. I hope I didn't rush through it and turn it into some kind of weird waste of time. They're really not that hard. Mossbergs and even Remingtons, they're not that hard to really take apart. Once you start getting to like semi-autos and stuff like that, I don't even know. I've fired a couple, but I've never taken them apart. Really, I really haven't. I've got another shotgun that maybe I'll take it apart someday. I think it's a Turkish something. It was a cheap shotgun I got in a trade. But for Mossbergs, they're really pretty simple. The hardest part about them is making sure you pat your head and rub your belly at the same time, or however it works, to get those arms in right and to get that bolt carrier in there right. But other than that, these really are not that hard to put together and take apart. The biggest thing, again, is safety. You make sure these things are unloaded whenever you are doing any kind of maintenance on them. I've seen plenty of videos and horror stories and hear plenty of stuff about people blowing holes through roofs and walls and shooting people on accident. You don't want to do that. That's not worth it. Yeah, definitely not worth it. So make sure you're being safe and all that. If you have any questions on this stuff, let me know. If this didn't make any sense at all, I can shoot it again and try to get a better definition and better quality, zoom in and all that kind of stuff. I'll do my best to edit this to where you can see what's going on. But let me know. If this helped, let me know. If it didn't help, then tell me that you don't like the video. Either way, I don't know. I appreciate y'all watching, subscribing, doing your whole thing. I love it. If you have any other firearms that you need help with, if I have it, I can tell you what I know about it. If I don't have it, well, I'm probably not going to be able to tell you a whole lot about it because I don't have it. So I don't really have an opinion on it or know how to operate it or whatever. So anyway, y'all be good, be safe. I appreciate it. Catch y'all in the next video.